Shabbat Shalom. This week we had the passing of Rabbi Avrohom Korf, the man who was sent here by the Rebbe as his emissary, head of state of Florida in 1960. This week we have the Torah portion of Bilam being hired to curse the Jews. This week, on the very day of the passing of Rabbi Korf, there was the celebration of the previous Rebbe who was freed completely from the imprisonment of Stalin, Russia, in 1927. In brief, I want to just bring it all together and most importantly, learn a lesson from it. So, Bilam, when he began to speak, he said, "So speaks the one who gives parables." And then he went on to say how he sees in the top of mountains and hills stands the Jews, and he cannot curse them. And the reason he sees this as a parable is because even Bilam was not able to truly see in actuality the greatness of each and every Jew as we stand on top of the mountain, on top of the hills, our forefathers and our foremothers, in the way we are rooted in the essence of God. And thus all he can say is, "So I say in parable." The previous Rebbe, when he was arrested, he took upon himself but one thing. I'm going to see myself the way I stand in the essence of who I am. He actually took upon himself that he would not respond in Russian, but only in Yiddish, and they would have to bring a translator. He was beaten for this, but he stayed strong. The way we react to the world when we see ourselves in the source of who we are is in a place where God is everything and everything is God, and thus ultimately there can be no contradiction to divinity in this world. When Rabbi Korf came to Florida, today we know the state of Florida with so many yeshivas, so many shuls, so many kosher restaurants. Judaism is flourishing. But when Rabbi Korf came here in 1960, that's not what he saw. And what we see today is the outcome of what Rabbi Korf did when he came to Florida. He took upon himself that the same Rabbi Korf who stood in 770 when he was learning in yeshiva is the same Rabbi Korf who stands today in Florida. And thus we see the outcome. Most importantly is what our practical embodiment of these teachings and this giant of an emissary of the Rebbe is. And the very practical lesson is but one. Not every time do we have to calculate and work out how is it going to be taken, how am I going to be perceived. Sometimes we just have to clean the mirror and look and see on top of which mountains and hills we are truly hewn from. Where are we taken from? Where are we chiseled out from? Who are we? And when we can see that in ourselves, it illuminates in what we do. And thus, nothing around us will interfere, but quite the contrary. Decades later, we will see fruits and fruits of fruits and fruits of fruits, as how a desert has been irrigated into the garden of God. And all I conclude with is, may we truly, once and for all, be back in the true garden of God, the land of Israel with all the fruits. May we then have the resurrection of the dead. We will have back our Rebbe at our helm. We will have back Rabbi Korf to once again guide us in the state of Florida in being connected to the Rebbe, to God, and to the will of Torah and mitzvot. Shabbat Shalom.